We are live. Welcome everybody to the Rapid Diffs weekly call. Stanislav, you have a first point.
Yeah, I have a small update on the commits page POC. I'm progressing on the backend side. The only issue I'm facing right now is how to actually load all the commits without overwhelming backend. And maybe for the first iteration, I'll make it really slow and then ask for some of the backend engineers to improve it. But it's reaching a state when we can finally play with it. So I'll keep you updated.
Awesome. Thanks. The next point in the agenda, I added it given a comment I saw from Patrick. So I just wanted to bring visibility here. He posted an outcome of his investigation of the infrastructure impact of caching server-side render diffs. And I invite everybody to go and take a look and potentially give some feedback if you have any thoughts on it. And that will definitely inform how we make our caching decisions. I haven't gone through that yet myself. Still catching up, but thanks for the work. It looks like thorough from the quick scan. Thanks, Patrick, if you're seeing this. For everybody else, just go ahead and take a look at that, and yeah, add your thoughts there. Cool. So this brings me to the next point, which is essentially we have a new milestone getting ready, 17.0, and I just wanted to quickly go through the epic and see what would be the next candidates to be picked up. What are the next steps for implementation? Because I know that we had a couple of investigations going on. We still have front end strategy calls happening at the moment. Where is my yeah, okay. Which means that there's definitely some things that will come out of that discussion. I just want to make sure that we understand what are the actionable next steps. Do you have any thoughts on that, Stas? I can open the epic if it makes it easier.
I have two suggestions. One is for progressing front-end architecture. I think we should start doing some experiments, see how stuff works out. Maybe even touching for the technologies that we shouldn't use for now, like composition API. Just try it out, see how it works. For small, really small pieces of code, for example, get HAML view from the commits diffs on the merge request, or do it right away in the commits page, and replace the expand button for the diff lines using the free layer architecture or your custom solution, and see which challenges we face, how well does it work, and how readable the code is, or maybe how easy it is or how hard it is to add something like this to Diffs HTML. For that, I think we will need some base web component for the diff file. Yeah, I see that we should have this issue, so we might start working on this stuff, but I wouldn't say that the code will be production ready for this one. It will be just for experiments. Like I suppose at some point we'll just completely rewrite it, but for the starting point, I think it's good.
Yeah, I think we should definitely write it, aiming for as good shape as we can. So I wouldn't tackle this as POC quality kind of code, but in awareness that there might be still some mutations before this gets in the hands of users for sure. But we need to start somewhere. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Also, that was for the front-end architecture. I think we should start working on the Rails template streaming stuff. At least figure out how does it work in GitLab, or does it even work at all? That's I think an important one. If we can make it work, it will bring like very huge benefits to the first paint of the page.
So we have this issue. Is this it or is it
Yeah,
something
this
else?
one, this one.
Okay, so that's already assigned, so they will just flow over to the next one. So that's in line. Um, I wonder if we're already ready. I'm not sure what's the status on Gilly RPC, but there was one about adopting. Yes, Gilly pagination RPC. Do you think we're ready for this yet?
I don't think we're ready yet.
Okay, I'll take a look just to be sure. Maybe I can just ask Justin Tobler. Okay, that way we'll get some piggyback from it. Okay. Um, do you think that we're in a shape? Because one of the things that I think will take a long time to iron out is the exact markup format for everything, including the layout and all that stuff. While we're sorting out these things about how the pipes are going to work, I feel like we should get started on the actual ironing out the markup itself and layouts and all that. Um, I'm guessing we have an issue for it. I just wasn't able to find it. Do you think we're ready for that yet?
It depends on what we actually want to achieve.
Yeah, so essentially, I just want to have right now you're working with um, HTML or HAML markup that has been, copied from an old version of the diffs, right?
Yep.
And I want us to, this will have a new version of that. The sooner we start there, the quicker we'll have an idea of, actual size of caching, size
Mm-hmm.
of the payload, metrics, all that stuff. Because right now the markup is a huge part of our project, a huge part of the system, but it's still work. Every POC we build is still with an old version. I feel like we're going to take a long time to iron those things out, to make sure that we have the right layout, to make sure that we have the right hooks, any data that might need to be embedded. We're going to work it out. We're going to have to work it out through the project. But the sooner we start, the sooner we'll have a new version to work with instead of just leveraging the old one as always. And I'm trying to see if we have an issue for it. I saw that there's some things about deciding about the streaming. Um,
We have an issue to create a view component, not like a front-end view, but
Backend view
a
component
Rails view component for diffs. We can start working on that, create some
here.
very base view for the new diffs,
Hmm.
and then gradually enhance it with the features that we would like to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that also corresponds directly to the diff diff file web component, because diff
Hmm.
file web component needs this HTML. So we can create some really basic component for the beginning.
Okay. Definitely gonna need more of these, but we'll create them as we go, as we need, as we have an idea of what we're actually gonna need. But for now, let's get it started, at least. So this is both backend and front end because we have the backend need to create the structure for the view components, then we have the front end parts to actually write the markup.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm gonna explicitly call out backend weight. I expect this to be like a 1, right? Would you
Yeah.
agree?
Seems like it.
Front end weight will be a 3. Okay. Oops. Okay. Uh, I'll remove the weight just so that backend isn't fooled by this. Um, okay. So at least we have something to work with to begin with, and then there's some slippage as well. Um, I think we're definitely going to be flowing over the front end strategy calls as well. Make sure we have all the conversations we need to have about the data access layer and testing and all that. So there's probably some work that's going to come out of that. But I think for now it's a good start. Do you have anything else we need to consider?
I think we might need to create a separate issue just for the experiments for the front end stuff.
Hmm.
Like try out the approaches that you think are a best fit for our tasks.
Do you think we'll need to? So that here's what I'm thinking. We've been spending so much time in POC land, that I wanted to move away from that as soon as possible and start like building, even if it's an experiment, be building that within the actual code base that is going to be, iterated upon and shipped at the later stage. But so right now, for example, the POC you're doing on the commits page, we just wanted to learn with it. For the future, I expect us to start moving towards a place where we do experiments aiming to be shipped, and then whether they fail or not fail the criteria, the acceptance criteria, we decide what to do with it. But I want us to get away from this like throwaway POCs, if you know what I mean. Is that what you're saying? Like have a separate issue or epic for those kinds of things, or is it still just experimenting?
We can approach it from two different sides. So I can create an issue specifically for free layer architecture. So create like a blueprint architecture for what I've proposed. Let everyone see how it looks like. And we can also have a separate issue like experiment with your own custom solutions. For example, for data flow, for another kind of front-end architecture,
Okay,
and
I
see
see
how
what
it
you mean.
goes.
I don't know. Here's the way I counter propose that. I would schedule something to build the three-layer foundations into the code base, the one that you know, we'll be using for the merge requests view that was created. Create a three-layer architecture foundation, and that will be targeting shipment. Like ship it, because if through the course of shipping it, if we realize that there's some bottlenecks or red flags or anything that we want to reconsider, we would still be in the path to ship it.
Yeah.
Whereas, and then again, if anybody else has any other alternatives, of course, feel free to build it and build it on the side and compare it. Um, but I would like us to start moving for more definitive solutions rather than just experimentation. Which is not to say that it's going to be final. We're definitely going to be learning a lot through the process. But for example, like we talked yesterday, the way the three-layer architecture will be implemented is not dictating how the data access layer will work. It's still very agnostic. So I think we still have a lot of margin to play around after that part is implemented. Where probably we want to start having those experimentations is exactly the things that we're very uncertain of. Like, for example, one of the things that we've talked about in the past that I want us to get to very quickly is how do we do transformations to the DOM once the DOM has been, settled in with server-side render, dynamic applications, and now we need to do a big transformation like inline to parallel. That is going to be a decisive moment for us to choose the approach on that moment. Is that a full page refresh or full components refresh? Or can we just transform the data that we have in the page? So those kinds of experiments, yes, those will be experiments, but they will be done on the permanent definitive code base to ship as quickly as possible. So as far as I'm concerned, or what I think we should do is like steer away from any experimentations just for learning. We should, finish them up as soon as possible, the ones that we have in flight, but go for definitive code base additions. Um, but yeah, so for your point, like an issue for building the foundations for the three-layer architecture would definitely be useful. Then if we have any concerns about it or all our alternatives, they can come out of, an MR, something like that, a review of your code. But for now, I think we need to move on. Make sense?
Yeah, I want to be clear that the issue of free layer architecture is to actually be shipped. It's not for
Okay. Okay.
just
Okay.
for
Then,
observability. Yeah, it's a
okay.
foundation, but it might not be final. So it might look
Sure.
very different when
That's
we
okay.
get to production.
That's okay. I think we just need to have the code settled in to the code base, and then it will iterate normally as we usually do. Cool. No, that makes sense. Um, so create that issue, please. Let me just see if I stop sharing the screen so I don't show too many things here. Let me just agenda. So we need a new issue for building the foundation for the 3-layer architecture. We're still waiting on, whether Phil or Thomas have any thoughts on that. But I think that's definitely going to be a key part. Was it something else that we need to create issues for?
I was thinking like for experiments, maybe if someone wants to create something else, we need a separate issue, but that's that's up to everyone else if they want to work on it.
Yeah, yeah. So for example, we don't close the door on new proposals. So if anybody has any alternative solutions or anything, please go ahead and build them or let us know what you think. But like we talked about yesterday, we need to get started on this, and it feels like as a first step, it's not dictating or preventing us from doing anything in the future about supporting Vuex components, about supporting non-Vuex code. So I feel like it's safe enough for us to start building it right away. And then again, I want us to be like, if in a month or so we feel like that's not the solution and we can revert it, we trash it and we start over. Or start over, I mean, we rewrite it better. But we definitely need to start learning from these. So yeah, we need to move on to definitive solutions. So cool. We also had an issue. I'm going to be reaching out to Thomas later today for him to create the one about the data access layer. So that's one that's going to be discussions and all that stuff. That might be eventually spitting out some deliverables itself. But for now, I think I have some good information about 17.0. So I think we can move on from this point. Do you have anything else to add?
No,
No?
nothing else.
Okay. Cool. My last point, I just wanted to bring up the call that we've talked about in the past. I'll be setting up a new call with the product managers of source code and code review, the EMs, and the tech lead here. That's going to be starting next week. I want to make sure that everybody understands that everybody in the project is welcome to participate, but the required participants are these ones. This is because the discussions will not be technical. They'll be much more, about prioritization and about customer-facing decisions and all that stuff. So that will be once every 2 weeks. So not every week. To begin with, we might adjust the cadence as we go. But for now, I feel like we need to get started discussing things on that side. Cool. Expect an invite that will be coming. I don't know exactly when that will fit the weeks of everybody, but I looked and Monday seems like a good candidate, but I'll let you know. I'll send it as a hold and then we'll discuss it as we go.
Sure.
Cool.
Thanks.
Anything else?
No.
Oh, the video for the poster of rapid diffs shall have to be created by the end of this week. I'll coordinate with Thomas to make sure that happens.
Great.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Stanislav, and I'll see you around.
Thank you, Andrea. Yeah, see you too. Bye bye.
Bye.